Hi guys, my name is Ricardo, you know the guy, you know the project. So let's try to blaze through a little through some of these. First time I'm not the last one, so I might stop a little bit to get into the details. But alright, so real quick, what is the elevator pitch of the game? It's a sandbox game, it's about evolution, but not really, it's about evolution. We're using like real evolutionary computing and genetic algorithms, neural networks and stuff like that to actually power some of what happens. So we're not just sugarcoating an RPG with biological terms, we're actually like trying to draw from some of like tech that bio came up with. So in our previous episode, we were here. This is like precisely from the previous presentation, and the point that we're trying to do is like, well, we started working on art. Our game had like a pretty heavy foundational investment we had to do in tech, and then we had to push art as a second-class citizen. And then this semester was mostly trying to grab what we did, that spit out a lot of numbers and trying to show them in a way that didn't make people easy. So the first step happened in the first half of the semester, and then you know, I'm a sucker for biological jokes. So after a little bit of going inside ourselves and thinking and iterating and going around design, this is pretty much where we landed. This is half and half concept and actual implementation. I'll let you figure out which one is which later. But yeah, like one of the things we really wanted to take on was like that like nonsensical sci-fi or like therapy sci-fi. We have been throwing that term since the beginning of the project. And you know, Rick and Morty, Douglas Adams, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, all that stuff. And we were finally able to harness some of that and actually have some fun. Like there was this conversation in Slack where I was talking to one of the artists and I was like, oh, we need just a subtitle for this, and it's like a brain visualizer. Why don't we put like, you know, just put something like brain visualizer? And she's like, why don't we do something fun? It's like we were so caught up in the execution and trying to get it right that we forgot to have fun. And this was like, at the end, we had a little bit of that, and we were throwing out ideas and brainstorming, and it was a lot of fun after heads down into the tech. And the interesting part, we're both married, we're tech and art married, is three things that we're super proud of. Is our water shader. If you remember, like in the previous presentation, there was always this plane with like this diffuse color, but really didn't make a lot of sense. Well, we integrated it with water shader, and you know, the same information is rolling in, but now it actually looks like something natural. And you can see the process of our water becoming like better looking, getting like real skyboxes. This is a mist effect that we use. So it's pretty much the same process as the water, but instead of temperature is pH. And we have like a mist on top of the water. So it looks like, the whole idea is this is like the primordial ooze where life started, so we were trying to go with that feeling. I think we kind of capture it by marrying our strongest part with our weakest part and trying to like make them work together. So yeah, we're super proud of this stuff. We can look at it later. And so back to the dudes, like what were these? Like poly whats? And how do I eat them? So quick reminder, they're basically 2D creatures that live in a grid and have some very basic understanding of their universe, and they evolve. And I'll go into that a little bit. This is the way we have to represent their internal state. This actually made it right after the midterm presentation. In the midterm, we just had like the actual float numbers, if you remember. So we tried to try a little bit here, and we got some feedback from different people, including Senjin and some game designers that helped us play test. And I mean, the idea is that this is a brain, and maybe if I tell you this is a brain, you get it after I tell you. But at first, it looks like a pretty terrifying algorithms problem. So this is what we replace it with. We now have an actual brain, and the connections kind of make sense inside the context of the brain. And then previously we had the DNA numbers just there because a polymini in the end is just like a stream of bits. And we found a pretty cool font that we kind of married with our numbers, and now each polymini has an actual DNA helix in them, even though it's just a bunch of numbers. And yeah, you know, each instinct, which is one of the few concepts we have had as a game design concept in the game, gets a little head. Oh, let's go back a little bit. So these are our heads. It should be fairly easy to guess which one is which, but for the new people in the room, this is a predatory polymini, this is the social polymini, that is the nomadic polymini, and over there is the eating polymini. So here we have a close-up on one of our nomadic dudes, and they pretty much just move a lot, which are probably the most common case. So a little bit in the life cycle, now that it's easier to explain some of it as we have better graphics. As I was saying, they're pretty much born out of chaos, sorry. The idea is they're literally just stream of bits. Like the first time a polymini exists is just literally random, like calling random 40 times and then just getting the bits. And that creates like the DNA chain that we read by a little system, and that pretty much lays out the body of the polymini. And then based on what the body looks like, we hook up the brain, which is again just calling a bunch of times random to get now floats. We don't want not just bits, we want like actual floats. So we start the brain of the polymini, and at that moment the dude kind of like exists. Let it be light or whatever. And then the body and the mind evolve together in the sense that depending on what the body provides, the brain can have more inputs and more outputs, and the dude can do different stuff depending on how those combine. And as usual, the layout of the brain is like input at the front and then output at the back. So it's like information trickles down this way, but we'll see it later. And then our production has always been a little bit erratic. You know, people coming in, people coming out, and also like the weird structure of both the project and the team itself. So the good. We're done. We finally got there. we checked a bunch of boxes and we feel like we're there. You know, little disclaimer, we know we still have demo day coming, but it's a milestone, and the team rallied pretty hard for it, and it feels great to be like at that moment and saying, okay, thumbs down, done, great job. Our burn down feels so good after the art team started oiling. Again, back in midterm, it was just the art team was just starting to get in, and we started to get some drops and then some ideation. But then, you know, the moment there was like 2 weeks after that you can see the engineering burn down plateau a little bit, which is when we're integrating, and then this happens. And I don't know if you can read it, but those over there is like 124. And this is 180. So they came into the team, they added 60 hours of estimation, and then they churned like 70 hours in 3 weeks. So that was pretty awesome. And it felt really, really good. And I know that, you know, without this push, we would not be here right now. Like we would be talking about like why didn't went so well, or why this doesn't look as well as we could, right? So I mean, I guess this is a St. John has mentioned it before, like game development is an iterative process, and you know, you try different things, and then eventually you get like a little unlock like this, and it feels great. And so, you know, it's okay to be a little bit on the downside if you're trying different options, I guess. The bad. Our scope was probably our worst enemy. It creeped on us, it crippled us, and then it kind of killed us, and we had to kill him back. So yeah, like the biggest thing we had to do was cut scope aggressively and work with art in like creative ways to solve different issues. Part of that was like the whole mist and water system with the skyboxes. Like it's a rather simplistic system in a few parts, but it can do like some flashy stuff and it looks cool. And then at the end, like artists were coming in and out, and we're trying to get everything. Obviously, we got a lot of bugs in. We have a little bit of a bunch of air flakes and stuff around like our different resolutions, and if you just scale the screen, then the stuff doesn't line up pixel perfect, or they go to the corners. So we did a cleanup on that last week. We need to do another one because it got offset again. But I mean, like probably the biggest way of knowing your team is working is by how many bugs you're getting. So no bugs, no work. So where are we now, and where are we going? One phrase that kind of stuck with me was uttered early in this year is the best projects on this class get shipped to Steam, and but most of them make great demos. I knew, and I was pretty open with my team from the beginning. We were not going for the Steam launch at all. That would have been completely retarded. Apologies, but that would have been crazy. So I think our point was always to be on the demo side of it, and it was in a previous slide, I think part of what we're trying to do, is Sobert had like a hidden agenda. We also had a little bit of a hidden agenda of like evoking more conversations around how these techniques can enable cool game development. Even if we didn't crack it, like at least we tried and we have some experience. So if any of you guys like anticipating your question, like how can you support us? Yeah, I think like the best thing you can do for us is like go and grab a paper about this stuff and then try to, wherever you go after this, like see if it helps you. Like right now, AI-assisted game design is a super hot topic and kind of plays a lot of this stuff. And if this kind of seeds a lot of super cool projects in the future, I'll be super happy. So, like I guess the best way of supporting us is like doing some homework. And all right, so you'll see where we are today after the demo. But where we're going to the road to demo day right now looks focusing mostly on UX and sparkles, trying to tie up a lot of those things of pixel perfect stuff. Playtesting heavily and addressing feedback. Now it's easier to show people and get people to play it because it doesn't look 2D-ish and hard to read. So more people are willing to spend an hour on this and actually talk. Given the nature of the project, most of our playtests tend to be one-on-one and like pretty much like in an interview, like conversation fashion. So they're time consuming and now it's easier to justify that type of stuff. Yeah. We have a deadline for May 15 for the computational intelligence for games paper, so yes, please. And we actually got an invitation for the artificial intelligence in digital entertainment for the experimental AI games workshop. So the only thing is like we just need to get it a little bit more polished. That's all the way down in October, so we'll see. And most of the team has already committed to keep on the project. As I said, our project was a little bit weird in the nature of the team configuration. Most of us are already out there working, so for us it's just going to be business as usual. Just keep rolling on it. Maybe get a little bit of a less of a hard deadline on top of us, but I think everyone that rolled at the end is really interested in the project and wants to see more of it. And yeah, questions? Yeah, of course. But
you want to do Q&A first?
I can.
Actually, why don't we do the live demo and we'll come back to Q&A.
Perfect.
All right, nice job.
So this is one of those problems of resolution, like the TV doesn't really help. But anyway. So yeah, I mean it's just basically, the same idea, you have space, there are a few planets around you, and those planets have different characteristics. You can get some of, like a little bit of them by looking at your minimap, and then we get less sound on this, it's kind of overpowering. What else? How do I get less down here?
Oh, there's the remote is behind your background. Oh, wait, you have to go to each TV separately.
Oh, that's fine. Alright. Sorry, it's kind of loud.
That's good. Yeah, good.
Perfect. Alright, so I was saying, there's planets around you, and as before, we can, actually, let me log out of this guy. This guy is so poor, he cannot do anything. He only has like 1 point, because we've been testing hard on him. Let me go with my account that actually has a lot of money.
Cheater.
Of course. I can just go into the TV and give me like a million millions, and why wouldn't I? Look at that. All right, so
He can work that one. He can
all right. Yeah, this is kind of terrible. All right, so as we were mentioning, like most of our stuff went into auditing and creating a better experience, trying to explain what's going on, trying to streamline some of our weirdness and quirkiness of around the game. We actually removed some stuff from this screen and from the previous screen, trying to simplify, because our feedback was usually around like, oh, this is a good idea, but it's hard to get, it's complicated, I don't know what's going on. So let's create a species, and so we're gonna make it give them some characteristics. This is like the same basic framework we've been using since the beginning. Like that's one of a few constants. And after that, you can go into you can go into a planet and add your species and you see there's species by other people. You cannot interact with them. Once you create your own, once you create yours, you can actually like manipulate it, edit it in the planet, extract, harvest. This used to be just like letters that are floating that make no sense. Now they have full words. Extracting is basically the opposite of dropping a picture, which is like basically when you drop a picture, you grab from your money, put money into the picture to make like biomass. The opposite is also possible. You can grab pictures you have deployed in planets and they have grown a little bit and pretty much harvest them for money. Just like this. Or you can harvest their DNA. That means like after some time they have evolved, maybe you see something you like, you want to grab that and take it to another planet. That's what harvesting means. And then of course the most classical and most important observing. It takes like 8 seconds, so this should be like a little loading screen here. What can I show you as this loads? Oh, you told me as you're killing me to death.
That's great.
Yeah. So yes, the sky is green because the acidity is high in this planet and it's cold. And where are my creatures? This is terrible.
They're knitting sweaters.
Sorry.
They're knitting sweaters.
I think so. AWS has been pretty bad today on me. And I even tried to run locally, but my computer cannot run all of the stuff at the same time. Where are you, creatures?
404.
That's okay, that's okay. This is the one that should say something, but it's a lie, so whatever. Yeah, wow. This is your fault, son John. You said someone was going to crash on corner. Thank you. I appreciate it with all my heart. Alright, let's see what pretty looks like. I tested it like 100 times right there.
That's what I put.
Yeah. And I guess this has never happened to me. It's not gonna cut it.
Better now than never did.
Sorry?
Better now than never did.
Yeah. I would imagine these. Oh, there you go.
Yay!
No, absolutely nothing changed. Voodoo. Alright. So after these guys just made an ass of myself, we can go and look at them. Get the little brain sparkly and yeah, I talked a lot of brain because I don't know what else to say. The cool thing about it was the ability to travel like in time. So I can go back to like year 12. And well, yeah, this is supposed to just reload this, but maybe this is just gonna die again. But yeah, the idea is that now you can see the graph of how the creatures have been evolved, and how the co-evolution happens, and you can see how these two creatures are a little bit too similar. I think they got seeded by the same person. But let's see, over here you can see when someone else adds a creature, how like the other one got extinct or got egg. So yeah, the idea is that here you can like jump back and forth different stages of the simulation and see what's happening. So right now we're looking at era 3, marked with this little red ball. We'll go to era 7, which is the one we started at. And what else can we see about them? So yeah, I mean the idea would be let's grab one of these creatures with us and take them to another planet.
Extract. Harvest.
Yeah, let's harvest this dude. Second egg test. And we start. And then if this doesn't do voodoo weird stuff, we should be able to see our creature here. As I mentioned, most of them will have the nomadic phase, which is the most common and most easy to get. To differentiate between them, and I don't know if you can notice because it's a little bit transparent, little bloodlets and the faces have different colors marked on them. So this creature is okay. This is ours EGG creature, and it's like greenish most of the time. The extra features are greenish. While this guy over here will have like bluish features and this little bloodlet, and it has like lines on the sides. So yeah, you can see like this guy has blue, this guy has green, this is red. So those are the 3 different creatures, like species that are here. This doesn't have any historical data, and that is because planets get created and destroyed pretty much freely. And yeah, I think that's roughly it.
Wow.
We added 2 different cameras and the observation of Polyminis because that's feedback we kept getting, like, oh, I want to see that, I want to see that one, I want to be able to click on them.
So what's the longest anyone's ever played this?
That's a weird question. Like, on a sit?
Yeah.
10 minutes?
Okay.
But,
How long can it be played?
forever?
It's not like crashes.
Well, yeah, until it decides to not run the simulation. So no, the inspiration is like a fishbowl, right, or a ant farm where you're not doing a lot most of the time.
So if you put this as an app, say on the Apple TV as the screensaver.
Yes. One of the ideas we wanted was like a little, well, back in the day when we
It
actually
changes all the time.
Yeah. When we started to work for the idea for Euroclass back 2 years ago, it was like an iPad thing for like parties where you just have it there and you have like the time and maybe some sort of bulletin board and you have the dudes just involving doing stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, like in one sitting you cannot do a lot and there's a lot of downtime because you do and you're like, okay, I'll wait, next 15 minutes when the next generation comes. I'll look, maybe I'll do something.
It'd be totally cool to have it as a screensaver on the TV.
Yeah,
Or in the lab.
the other idea I heard that it was like I actually liked was something like in a museum where you get at the beginning you do something, then you do your tour, and then at the end you see some results. So something like that.
So it's a very good example of a sandbox experience.
Mm-hmm.
I think the one major piece of feedback that I would have for you is it would be great to have constant, iterative feedback of what it is that you have achieved. So that, You know, you can say, for example, congratulations, your new species has discovered new behavior, or
Yeah, so
what better point out to make those milestones?
on the books we have like events, like, and we have like the basic tech for it. Like we record events when a species dies, but we put all the species from user X died, but we have no way of grabbing it and telling the user when he logs in, oh, by the way, your species got extend, or you know the opposite, or you know your species became the only species in this planet.
Extinction is kind of a major deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like we record them, we just don't like. There's a little bit of pipe and then UI into it,
Yeah.
and that's that last part. Like I can show dumps of tables if you want, but it's
So what might be really nice then is, if I let it run for thousands of hours, is if you could put like a little timeline of creatures that came into life and when they died, and new creatures that went on, and
yeah, like genealogy tree kind of stuff.
That'd be so cool.
We have like tracking for the species that spawn you, so we can do that just in reverse and always tell you like the whole tree of you. So, like, showing it like if you have any ideas for that, like some of you guys seem pretty artistic, so
This is how you can improve our experience.
yeah, I know. Like the ideas book is full. The problem is just implementing and getting it clear. Because for some of them, like we tried some during the semester and we ended up scrapping a few experiments because they were more complex to understand than they were providing.
Cool.
Okay. Okay. I think that's all the time we have